Hello, friends, and welcome to TreeWalker Talks, episode 90. Growing up. Well, first off, I'd like to say it's been a while. I haven't really put out a podcast on this channel for quite some time. I mean, I told you I was taking a break, but I kind of wanted to wait, and this is a little bit of explanation and some rambling. I kind of wanted to wait till I felt passionate about something. And I kind of hit me, as I was driving somewhere, and I'll get into that in the main part of the episode. But I kind of wanted to share these ponderings and thoughts, and just this is like the old school. This is no script. I've got a few points that I wanted to remember to say, but other than that, we're just rambling. I'm just talking from the hip here. We could do a homestead update. Really, nothing's going on to talk about. I mean, I've kind of let things go out there a little bit. Chickens are still alive. Most of the ducks are still alive. Someone's killed a couple of them. So I got some traps set out, and we'll see about that. The garden's been put to rest. Garlic's been planted. It's been mulched. But that's pretty much it. Not much to talk about. Like I said, it's kind of... A lot of things have changed. A lot of bad luck within the past month or so. But gotta look at the plus side, the positive, and things are going pretty good. Like I said, it could always be worse. But let's just jump into it before I ramble too much and you all just, are gone because you don't want to hear me ramble. I was this past Saturday, and today is Monday night. It's like 11:52 p.m. I guess it was Sunday. I was heading over to my dad's house. One of the things that went wrong was my transmission had issues up in Michigan when I was supposed to be going on a vacation and fishing trip with my dad. So we made it home, all good. Had a good time, good talks. Made it home and had the truck go in, and a guy worked on it and fixed all the things that were wrong with it, with the transmission and a couple other things. But so I was on my way over. I had his Explorer because my spare vehicle decided it wasn't going to run. Another transmission issue. The cable was jumping off of the shifter. So, hey. But like I said, positive things. Things are positive. Always think positive, right? But I was heading over there. And as I pulled onto his road and turn onto it, and I go 2 miles down that road, and he's kind of on the corner of this road and another road. And as I'm driving through, I look over and I see the fields. They were cutting the corn stalks down and made quite a mess with the wind. But I look at those fields and thought about how many times have I played out there in those fields growing up. I remember going out there after they plowed the fields and they'd make little caves and stuff, and I'd take Star Wars figures or G.I. Joe figures, and I would go out and just sit there for hours in the dirt and play with the action figures. And I remember that fondly. I remember, sometimes to me, more to my brother, losing our boots in the mud, because they get suction cupped in, then you'd pull your foot out and the boot would stay. But it's still fun to play in the plowed fields. And I looked over and I saw these woods. And they were woods that I've gone and played in, when I was a little bit older. And I made some teepees out of fallen wood. We'd stack them up, me and some friends, and make little shacks or, little shelters, and just play out there. We'd have fun, mess around in the woods, finding stuff, doing things, creating things, just, going out there and doing stuff. And I looked down, and just a little bit down the road from Dad's is some railroad tracks. And, I spent a lot of time down there because there was always something neat to find, whether it be some marble candlesticks that were broken and someone threw away but were a treasure to a adolescent youth, or some new bug I'd never seen before and caught it in a discarded pop bottle and took home to show my dad and ask him what it was, or get the BB guns out and shoot cans down there, or collect coal. We had a coal train derailed down there, and there was coal everywhere, and you go down and grab some of it. Or one of the times my brother and I went down there and we saw some bubbles in the ditch, and we pried out a snapping turtle. Now, that this may appall some of you, but we pried him out of the mud and got him out, stuck the stick in his mouth, and he bit it, and we carried him all the way home. And my dad butchered it and cleaned him up, and we had him, I believe that one we had along with our Thanksgiving meal. I think my grandma made it up into like a turtle, not stew, but it had like dressing and stuff. And, so I ate a snapping turtle. And it was something we caught and pulled out. That's kind of neat. And I passed several of the ditches, the old creeks. I know. I'm showing it. I'm saying cricks, but that's what I've called them. And I remember back to when I was kids and we had our bicycles and stuff, and you'd get a flood and we'd go swimming in those. As an adult, I look back and I think there's probably some raw sewage floating in those, and there's all those chemicals that washed off the fields. And I remember one of the times I dove in, I hit the concrete culvert with my shin and gouged out pretty good, had a big cut in it. And you know what happened? Still went swimming. We just kept going. I never got infected. I didn't get infection. We didn't get sick from the water. We just had fun. We drive our bicycles through it, or later we use motorcycles and mopeds and stuff and drive through water. And I look back and I have all these great memories of adventures I had and places I went. There was this thing that the local people called lime pits, and it's where they used to store the lime off the railroad tracks, I guess, like for your fields and that or something. I'm not sure. All I know is it had some neat hills and stuff in it. We used to race our motorcycles back through there. It was like a little track you could take it on. And did we wreck? Yeah, we wrecked. Did anybody ever get seriously hurt? No. Our pride. But so I was just looking back, and man, we had some good times. Not a phone in sight. There weren't phones back then. The phones we had were like CBs if you had a vehicle. There were pay phones, but you didn't use them. You just knew you had to be home, preferably before dark. So this time of year, like right now, I think it was 4 o'clock, 4:30 today. It seemed like it was dark out. I don't know. It could have been later. But so you had to get home earlier, and that sucked. I lived a mile or so outside of town, so it was always up to me to get out there, get home or that. Every once in a while, you'd call home from the payphone or a friend's house or that and ask your parents to come pick you up, and they did. But I look back at, and you always hear the generation before you like, oh, the times were just simpler back then. But they really were, and I love technology. But man, it's taken us down some rough patches, hasn't it? I look at all that stuff and I just think how good I had it. It took me going home and thinking back and seeing all those memories to think about that. And when I got there, I sat there and I talked with my brother and his wife and my dad. And then I would just kind of look off and just think of the fun times I had. And it's out in the country, and where I'm at now, I've got cars honking and EMS is going through, fire trucks, cops, construction. They've got construction going on in front of my house. There's a big front end loader, not a front end loader, a Mini X, bigger than a Mini X, but parked out front. Backhoe, it's not a backhoe, pretty much an excavator. Parked in my yard right now. Never asked permission. They just park it there because they do whatever they want. And it made me feel bad, and I talked to the oldest daughter and I explained to her all those things that I remember. And they've lived a life, and I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but they've lived a life where they had to go do things. They had dance. They had musicals and just always something going on. And I told her, I said, man, I had fond memories of doing nothing. That's what they call it today, but it was just having fun. And she told me, some of her fondest memories were playing at her grandma's house when her grandma lived out in the country. And they had these 2 big pastures and a couple barns, and they just would go out in the field and play, and there were goat bones out there. And they'd have fun playing with the goat skulls and stuff. And they'd had like over 100 goats at one time. So some die, it just happens. There was nothing cruel going on or anything, but just to appease you. And, they had fun doing that stuff. And she says, those were some of the funnest times I remember. I just feel like we've gotten lost somewhere, where everybody has to do something. They have to have something to do, somewhere to go. And I know not everywhere it's like that. I'm speaking from my experience right now, and it just seems like we don't have the downtime, the creativity time, the go outside time like we used to, and it shows. You know, and then I think, did we make a mistake? Did we not give these kids what they needed and gave them the outdoors time in that? And are we raising kids that are going to be at work, and then when they're at work, they're going to have something they have to go do? They're not going to have gardens. They're not going to raise their kids in the dirt. Let them go play in plowed fields. And, not that I'm condoning this, but let them swim in creeks and ditches. And, we've just protected people way too much today, I think. And that's kind of sad to me. It really hits me in the soul. So I guess that's something that just really felt passionate to talk about. And that's why I have this episode. And I'm not going to tell you I'm going to have weekly episodes or that anymore. I've got no plan to have a schedule. I think what I want to do is I've got several other podcasts I'm doing too with different genres or whatever your young kids call it, different themes and stuff, more like to gaming and RPG and stuff. And that's under my name on there is Lunitar, Lunitar. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, you go over there. I've got one podcast I do weekly, which is Legends, Lore, and Lies. And then I've got another one coming out, and I'm working on a third one for that. But two of them are going to kind of come in to each other. So I plan on releasing some more videos. I need the motivation to get moving and get things done out here so that I can do this stuff during the winter. A lot of the same stuff I said I was going to do in the last episodes. But I have a list, and that's a start, right? So as long as I cross something off that list every couple days or several of them off on the weekends, I think we're going to be doing okay. So I hope to put more content out. But I'm not making any promises. Like I said, I'm kind of vested into the other channel quite a bit now. And I want to keep that going. And I don't just want to make episodes for this channel and that I don't feel passionate about. And I think that's where I was getting to on the other one. So when something hits me and I feel passionate about it, I'm going to put a podcast episode out. Maybe the chats like this, ramblings, whatever. Or maybe it's just to say, hey, we did this. Or to explain to you how to do that. But currently with this channel, I'm not making any promises on when things are going to come out. But there will be stuff coming out. Especially as the snow hits and I'm stuck inside and have to do more of this. We'll see. Plus, I'm kind of moving. Right now, I'm in the living room with this. And I have an office I'm going to kind of swing over into. And hopefully then, even if people are home, I can sit down and record. So maybe we'll get more done. We'll see. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope it made sense. I hope it wasn't just ramblings of an old, guy after the sun's gone down or something. But, all right. So, how did that go? Stay alive out there and keep on surviving.